Hello everyone and welcome to DevScope channel. Join me today as we learn about how to implement dynamic row-level security in Power BI. Imagine the scenario where a company has a hierarchy of its employees and their managers and want to display or hide data depending on who is seeing the information. So here the behavior you want to have is that managers can access their own personal data and also their employee data, but an employee can only has access to his own personal data. As we can see here, viewing as Ella Miller, that is a manager in our company, when we click on the button to go to the report, it leads us directly to the manager report page. Here, Ella will be able to see her own personal data and also her employees' data, Kevin and Randall's data. She can also choose one of her employees and root through the employee page, where she can have more details. Now, imagine we start seeing as an employee. We go here to Modeling and View As, and choose another email. Randall's here, for instance. Now, when we click on this button, it leads us directly to the employee sheet, because Randall is only an employee. So how can we do that? How can we make the row-level security dynamic? So first, let's stop viewing and take a look at our tables. The first table we have here is the calendar, that is our date table, but it's not relevant for this example. The second one is the employee hierarchy, where we have the employees and their managers. The last one is the personal data that contains all data we want to show or create measures on it. It's here where our information is. If we take a look in our model, we'll see the two main tables we have are related with each other by the employee email by a one-to-many relationship. It's a very simple model. Now, the first step to create a row is going here on the Modeling tab, Manage Rows. And here, as we can see, is where we can create as many rows as we want. And I have already created one that's called Permission. And this row is filtering the employee hierarchy table, as we can see here in this with this symbol. But before I show you the expression I'm using to filter this table, I want to show you a measure. I have here in the employee hierarchy table a measure called user principal name. As we can see, the user principal name is only calling the function itself, the user principal name. For those who might not know this measure, it will return the email of the user that is logged in. So let's test it. I will start viewing as Ella Miller again. Let's put her email here and click on OK. And now let's test our measure. If we put a card in here and select our measure, we can now see Ella's email, right? Now, if we choose another email, we can see Randall's email. In other words, what it does is get the email of the user that is logged in. So now we know how this measure works. Let's go back, stop viewing, and go back to the Manage Rows. When we click here in the employee hierarchy, we have this expression that is saying, filter the manager by the user principal name, or, that is the meaning of these two pipes here, filter the employee email by the user principal name. In other words, what it's going to do is, if the user logged in is a manager, it will filter the table employee hierarchy by the manager email. If the user is an employee, it will filter the table by the employee email column. But if the manager is also an employee, that is, the manager also has a manager, it will filter both the manager and the employee columns. Now we just need to save and test it. I will create here a very simple table so we can see the row level security in action. For this table, I will add the manager, the employee, and some personal data. Let's see, the age and the actual salary. As we are not viewing as anyone, not a manager, not an employee, we can see all data we have in our tables. But if we go here and viewing as other user and put, for example, Ella's email and select here the permission, that is the role we have just created, and click on OK, this table will be filtering by the rule we have just created, right? So Ella can see the employees, Kevin and Randall, because she is the manager, and also her own employee data, that Sarah Williams is her manager, right? If we go again in view as, and now put Randall's email, the table will be filtering again and will show only Randall's Hill email. That's the behavior we have. Another thing I want to show you is how to bring dynamicity to this button. Let's stop viewing as and go to the cover page. To that, I have created a measure called page navigation. This measure has a variable called user that gets the user principal name as we have just seen. And then it checks if this user is a manager, in other words, if it's on the manager email, it will return the word manager. That is the same name of the page we have just seen for the manager report, right? Otherwise, it will see if the user is an employee, and if so, it will return the employee. That is the name I gave to the employee sheet page. Then we just need to go to the button, and here in format we select action and the type page navigation. For default, it will give you the list of pages we have in this report, but it's static, it's not what we want. So we go here to the conditional formatting and select field value. Now we just select our page navigation measure and click on OK. And it's done. We can test it again, going to modeling and viewing as other user, permission, and we put here a email, for example, Randall's. Click on OK, and when we click on this button, it will lead us to the employee sheet. The last thing we want to do is to publish our report to Power BI service, clicking in here. After publishing our report to the Power BI service, we go there to the service, and on our dataset, we go to More Options and Security. Here you have listed all the roles you may have. We have just one, is the permission that we just created. And in members, you need to assign the users or group of users that will have access to this report. So here we would put Ella Miller and Randall's Hill's email, for example. Then we just click and save, and it's all good to go. So that's all for today. I hope you have enjoyed learning a little bit more about dynamic row level security. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for future videos.